It is March 18th, 2023. Okay. You probably want to know what I'm laughing at, right? And maybe I'll tell you. But have you ever been in a group of friends and someone looks down at their phone and just bursts into laughter? If you're anything like me, it doesn't just immediately cause you to burst into laughter too. You want to know what they're looking at. What's the source of their joy? What are they experiencing that's causing them to burst out laughing? And I got this analogy from a book by Pastor Jonathan Parnell on Psalm 51, and I just really thought it was a great analogy of how our joy in Christ can be contagious. Not in the sense of, oh, I'm joyful, so automatically people are just going to see that and be joyful, but in the sense that if I'm experiencing joy in God's salvation, then other people are going to want to know where that comes from, just naturally. It's a way to glorify God. And that doesn't mean we just willfully become joyful. Yes, I'm so joyful, look at me, I'm joyful all the time. No, God has to grant that experience. It's not something we can just make happen on our own. It's just something that naturally comes from experiencing God. But what I'm getting at is that is a great witness to people. And when other people see us being joyful, then they want to know where that source of joy comes from. The Bible even kind of mentions this when it talks about how people will know that Christians are Christians because of their love for each other. They'll see the physical manifestation of what they're experiencing, and they'll want to know where it comes from. They'll be curious about it. Why are these people so loving? What is it that causes them to love each other like that? I want to know what it is. And so it's a great way to witness to who God is. And again, it's not something we just willfully make happen. And we can't make it happen in others either. We can't just be like, hey, I'm joyful, now you be joyful too. Because I'm joyful, you should be joyful. That's not how it works. But something we can take from this is that if we ask God to be joyful, or if we ask him for joy, as David does in Psalm 51, restore to me the joy of your salvation, then we can be pretty confident that he will answer that prayer. Why wouldn't God want us to be joyful? It makes our lives better, and it points other people to him. If we're joyful, people are going to want to know where that joy comes from. And sure, they can't just come to know God simply because they see us being joyful. They have to actually experience the source. They have to look at the proverbial phone I was talking about earlier, right? They have to experience the source for themselves. But it's a great first step for getting them there. And so, if you want others to experience the joy and the love that can come from knowing God, then ask him for joy. A lot of people will ask, where is any proof that there's a God? How do we know that God exists? And I would answer, me. You can know that God exists because of me. I'm proof that there is a God. And especially because of what he's done in my life. If you look at my life 15 years ago and compare it to my life now, you would wonder, how did that change happen? Because it's so dramatic. There's no other way a change that dramatic could happen without God. And I know some people will be like, people change all the time, blah, 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 blah. Fine. But I'm telling you that what happened was me turning to God. That's what caused that change. I would not have given up all the drinking and drugs and partying and whatever if it wasn't for God. I tried many times and it didn't work. But once I knew the joy of God's salvation, that's what allowed me to change. And so, I'm proof that there is a God. Jesus has to be alive. If he died 2,000 years ago and didn't rise from the dead, that change in me wouldn't have happened. It only happened because he's alive. And so, the personal experiences we have of God can be a great witness to people about who he is and that he's real and what he can do. So that's all I have for today. Peace. Oh, and P.S. I wasn't laughing at anything in particular earlier. I was just using it as a way to I'm going to start laughing at myself because I can't speak. Illustrate my point. Yeah. Okay. Bye.